Malta and Gozo, and welcome to another edition of Lovin Daily. I'm your host, Jonathan Chilia, joined by my new co-host, Ricky, making his Lovin Daily debut today. And here are your headlines for today. Joseph Muscat and Edward Zamit Lewis, holiday at Jorgen Fenwick's French hotel for free. Bars to remain closed for the coming weeks. Game-changing COVID-19 vaccine will be in Malta early January. Support grows for assistant head who was called handicapped and fat. And Justine Caruana left Silvio Valletta following suspicions he was leaking information. I just want to remind you that today's episode is sponsored by Zanzi Homes. Known for their commitment towards the environment, they commit to plant one tree for every property sold, which is pretty incredible. Zanzi Homes are always on the lookout for new talent, so check them out at zanzihomes.com. And at the end of today's episode, we've got a very special guest in the building. Anton Rea Kutayar, Malta's Tiger King, will be joining us for a bit of a discussion after we get through the headlines. Ricky, shall we jump into the first story of today?
Yes, definitely, Eva.
So this is a big story. Lovin Malta just broke it this morning. You can find all the details on lovinmalta.com. But it has been confirmed that Joseph Muscat, former Prime Minister Joseph Muscat, and Justice Minister Edward Zamit Lewis did travel on a private holiday to Jorgen Fenwick's French Hilton Hotel in northern France in 2017. I'm sure it was a lovely holiday. They apparently went there with their respective families, and sources have suggested that the trip was not paid for themselves. The trip was paid for by Jorgen Fenwick and co. We had previously asked Joseph Muscat and the former minister, if they had joined this trip, if the trip had actually taken place, and they had not confirmed it. But new developments have confirmed that the trip did take place in 2017. What's interesting is just yesterday, the CEO of the Malta Financial Services Authority, Joseph Kashkiri, also resigned. He resigned yesterday after revelations of another trip to Las Vegas with Jorgen Fenwick back in 2018. Ricky, it seems like every week we have a new revelation of a trip to some nice, beautiful place, be it France, be it Las Vegas, with Jorgen Fenwick or partly funded by Jorgen Fenwick.
Mill-li jidher jisu kull ftit ta' ġimgħati jew ġimgħa dejjem nisimgħu buxuħ ġodda li qegħdin jiġu li qegħdin jgħidu li kienu fil-lukandi ta' Jorgen Fenwick li ġew mħallsin xejn. I mean, Lovin Malta ħanibqgħu niffollowjaw dawn l-istejjer u ovvjament naraw kif ħajjiżviluppaw. Nistennew u naraw kif ħajjiżviluppaw dawn l-istejjer. Nimxu għat-tieni storja tal-lum, il-Prim Ministru Robert Abela ħabbar li l-bars ħajbqgħu magħluqin għal ftit ta' ġimgħat oħra. Dan wara li kellu laqat mal-Ministru tas-Saħħa Chris Fern u iddeċidew li l-bars jibqgħu magħluqin. Mill-lider il-mewġ mhux fil-baħar jgħid. Jekk kellek xi pjanijiet jiġifieri li dan il-miliet ħadet la Havana u tiġi mandra aqta' qiesek bro. Minn daqstant l-snack bars u l-kiosk ħajitħallew jibqgħu miftuħa imma jridu jgħalqu bejn il-11 ta' bil-lejl u l-5 ta' filgħodu. Ma nafx John, inti forsi x'taħseb dwar?
No, so obviously this is a big bit of news. A lot of snack bar owners, a lot of bar owners were looking to see, will we be able to open in December? No, they will not be able to open in December. Obviously, this comes after a legal notice back in November saying that, bars will be closed until 1st December. So a lot of people were wondering, after 1st December, what's going to happen? Will bars reopen? Will bars close? Unfortunately, COVID-19 cases have not drastically dropped. They've still remained high. So I think the Prime Minister is taking the decision to keep bars closed. We actually spoke to a couple of bar owners who are not very happy about this, of course. I mean, they've had some very, very difficult months. Now, December, typically a very good month for bars, everyone going out for some festive drinks. That will not be happening this year. So, we'll have to see what happens. If you're a bar owner that's been affected by this, definitely get in contact with us. We want to speak to you. Definitely let us know how this is affecting you. Moving on to the next story, and this is related to COVID-19 as well. The Prime Minister Robert Abela has announced that Malta can expect to get a COVID-19 vaccine in the beginning of January, which really isn't that far away. It's about 2 months away. Quite impressive. He said this yesterday in a live Q&A, a question and answer session on Facebook. And he said that this vaccine was a game changer. Ricky, are you looking forward to this vaccine coming to Malta?
Nisperaw, I mean, inna kważi issa, inna kważi sena, kulħadd ma jistax jintaqa' ma' sħabu, ma' tal-familja, I mean, għaw min iru ma jarannanna għal xhur sħaħ. Nisperaw li din l-insibu vaccine kif qal il-Prim Ministru sa jannar, hopefully, li nerġaw ninaqdu kollha flimkien. Nisperaw. Nimxu għall-istorja li jmiss. Assistant Head Maltija ġo inkassar kienet edha tixbet mill-ATM tal-taħdejn il-Junior College u ġi studenti għajruwa Double H, handikappata u ħoxna. Ġo inkassar rrit id-dispjaċir tagħha u kitbet post fuq Facebook li ħassita disgustata u ovvjament li dan mhux sewwa. Kien hemm ukoll ħafna ex-studenti ta' Joanne li kitbu fuq Facebook u rew is-solidarjetà magħha li din hija ġifieri kienet teacher tal-ġen, kulħadd kien iħobba u Joanne ġifieri ma tafx għala ġiet majra. Kif ukoll kien hemm Rosien Kutajjar li daħlet u ddefendiet l-assistant head Joanne Kassar. X'taħseb inti, John, dwar din l-istorja?
I think this is a bit of a shocking story. Of course, an older woman, an assistant head, a respected teacher getting humiliated outside junior college, being called handicapped and fat for no reason. She was just minding her own business, walking towards the ATM. She obviously did a very, very strong post on Facebook saying, these people were a waste of space. And she kind of was wondering, is this kind of what the future of our youth are? I don't think so. I hope not. But definitely there are some segments, some circles who probably could do with a bit more education. But as you rightly said yourself, Junior Minister Rosien Kutajjar herself spoke out in support of her. She said, quote, complete solidarity with you, Joanna. You are a respected educator that became a victim of verbal violence on the eve of the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, of course. And as you said yourself, it wasn't only the junior minister, it was ex-students, colleagues coming out in support of her. I think most people would support Joanna after what she went through. And guys, kids, anyone watching this, if you happen to be in the street and you want to call someone a double H or whatever, just don't. I'll hear you avoid it because it's just not going to look good on you at all. Moving on to the final story of today, another revelation connected to trips with Jorgen Fennig. It's mad, honestly. Recently reinstated Minister Justine Caruana, it has now been confirmed that she's separated from her husband, former Deputy Police Commissioner Silvio Valletta, after revelations that he might have been the person leaking information in the Daphne Caruana Galizia assassination investigation. Obviously, this was massive news. The fact that we have an assistant commissioner believed to be leaking information in such a delicate, sensitive investigation, and the fact that he was married to a minister was not a good look. Obviously, Justine Caruana was made to resign. She remains a very popular minister. And when she resigned, lots of people took to Facebook to say, listen, you don't deserve to resign, you should stay on, etc., etc. But now Robert Abela has confirmed that she has separated from her husband following that chaos, following that bit of a scandal. Robert Abela himself said that she remains, quote, competent, and that she deserves to be reinstated. So clearly the Prime Minister has a lot of faith in Justine Caruana. And I guess it is good to see that she did separate from her husband. But the question does remain, though, was she aware that her husband was going on these trips with a businessman abroad, going to see football matches together, etc., etc.? We'll see. But it's good to see that she did resign at the right, she did separate at the right time. I just want to remind you that today's episode is brought to you by our sponsors, Zanzi Homes. Known for their commitment towards the environment, they commit to plant one tree for every property they sell. Zanzi Homes are always on the lookout for new talent, so check them out at zanzihomes.com. We're about to cut to a clip, and after the clip is ended, we'll be joined in the office by Anton Rea Kutajjar.
We believe in challenging status quo. We don't believe in being okay with the good when we know awesome is just around the corner. We don't want to do things the same way when there's a better way. We're driven to be more, achieve more, and be the very best at what we do. Changing the world for the better might just start with you. Changing your world for the better. And when your world changes, awesome things can happen. We are Zanzi.
Okay, so here we are in the offices, Lovin Malta offices with Antonio Qatar. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Bonjour.
Good morning. So obviously I wanted to bring you in to speak to you, a bit live on Facebook, following the feature we did on La Catanoe, Malta's Tiger King. Got quite a big reaction online. I'm sure you got messages, I'm sure people were speaking to you about it. So first of all, what kind of reaction did you experience after the release of the feature?
Naħseb li n-nies, skużani nitkellem bil-Malti,
Go for it.
biex nitkellem bil-Malti. Naħseb li n-nies issa rawna għal post kif inhu. Jiena meta nies jaraw żu, hemm żu u żu. Hemm żu li hemm il-gaġeġġ vera żgħar u hemm żu li għandu l-enclosures vera mdaqsin. Ħafna nies jgħidu nippreferihom jiġru fil-wild, hija vera għandkom raġun, imma ġol-wild qed jispiċċaw. Umnala kienu kunu nispana li issa nifhimha li pereżempju hawn nies illi ma jaqblux li jkunu ġol enclosures, imma mbagħad għandek ħafna nies bħalma rajna l-poll, il-poll dal-għodu rajtu xi 64-36 jidhirli, meta għamilt il-calculation 64 point ċaġa kontra 33 point something. Ġifieri n-nies taqbel
A lot of support.
minn xi 3000 minn sample ta' 3000, veris dak sample qawwi. Sample ta' 3000 huwa sample qawwi.
So when you set up La Catanoe, what was the point? What's the reasoning? Why did you want to set it up?
Mela jiena meta għamilt l-Arka ta' Noè, l-ewwel ħaġa għamilta għalija, ma għamiltix għan-nies. U mbagħad bdejt indaħħal ħafna ġibatu ħafna familji li jixtu jaraw it-tigri, tfal bi special needs u mbagħad minn hemmhekk ftaħtu għan-nies.
Okay.
Dik kien ħafna familji jġibu ħafna nies hemmhekk. Ħafna nies ma jaqblux, nifhimhom għandhom kull dritt li ma taqblux da bħal meta kulħadd għandu l-opinjoni tiegħu.
You've had some politicians coming recently, right? You mentioned yourself you have disabled families, etc., but you also had some politicians come recently.
Nies jiġu minn ġiex naħat. Jaħni hemmhekk ma ndaħħax politika. Kulħadd jaf li jiena l-bandira l-intajjar, all right, għandi kull dritt, bħal meta bniedem itajjar il-bandira tal-Juve u jħodda l-bandira tal-Liverpool. Ma nix għalfejn nkunu niġġieldu fuq dawn l-affarijiet. Jiena ntajjar bandira l-intajjar, mhux għad nisemmi bandira tajjar, jiġu minn ġiex naħat.
Okay.
Minn ġiex naħat jiġifieri mhux għad nsemmihom u jiġu.
So one of the reasons I wanted to do the feature with you and come over to La Catanoe was to speak to you about the new proposals when it comes to animal rights in Malta. We discussed them and you said you agreed with some of them, such as the double enclosures, double fencing, but you disagreed with other ones, such as the banning of breeding. What are your thoughts on these proposals?
Mela, il-proposal hija li jekk għall-ars qatt ma nafx kemm ħatgħaddi liġi in-nies dik hija d-demokrazija, li n-nies tittara l-poplu xi jrid, u għandna liġi mi qiegħda mkien fid-dinja. Imkien fid-dinja, fid-dinja ma l-ebda liġi tgħid li żu trid issewwi l-annimali. Fil-fatt iż-żu hemmhekk tkun taf hekk l-annimali huma mhux happy. Hemm minn hemmhekk tinduna li l-annimali skużanix. Minn hemmhekk tinduna li l-annimal ikun happy jekk inti issewwih ma tintx ħadinduna hekk hux happy jew le. Għandek il-problema l-oħra li meta annimal issewwih il-hormones tiegħu ma jaħdimx. Mhux ma jaħdimx, imma ma jaħdimx daqs li kieku għandek annimal mhux imsewwi, dak annimal mhux imsewwi jinġralu xi ħaġa f'xahar ifieq. Annimal imsewwi jdum ħafna iktar. Ħafna nies sewwu l-klieb u l-qtates ma nafx x'inhi r-raġuni biex ma jkunx hawn iktar, nifhimhom għandhom kull dritt. Imma meta mbagħad tara il-konsegwenzi ta' wara, meta annimal issewwih, hemmhekk ħajbdew konsegwenzi korroħ għaliex ma jfiqx daqshekk malajr.
So in the video, people got to see you getting close to the animals, touching the animals, feeding them, playing with them, petting them. I think a lot of people would say that you're passionate about them, you're very genuine. But then some other people would say, listen, this is just exploitation.
Kien hemm xi ħadd qal li jiena ma nidħolx, jiena nidħol. Jiena magħhom nidħol. Jiena kien rajt argument, rajt komment u rrid tinsemmih, kien hemm xi ħadd qal li aħna ma nitlux magħhom, jiena nidħol magħhom. Ma noqgħodx nidħol dieħel u ħiereġ, m'għandix għalfejn. Imma jiena nidħol magħhom fix-xi niridu. U anke ritratti issa nibgħatlek ritratti u tista' tellagħhom li jiena qiegħed ġewwa magħhom.
So exactly on that point, you obviously see yourself as passionate, as genuine. Some people would see you as exploitative or abusive. When people tell you this, that you're abusing animals, that you're exploiting animals, how do you feel?
Ma naqbilx għax jiena fimt jiena l-ewwel ħaġa ħafna mit-tigri mhux inbilli qalu kien hemm xrajt kumment li tigra tinbiħ 40,000 kibud. Rasek li tigra ma tinbaħx 40,000. Aħna nbijawhom min irid jisma' min irid jemmen. Fimt, isma' bil-fors u hemm min jekk trid. Aħna ntuhom €1,000 jtuna €1,000 u bħala donation issa. Għandna minnhom konna bojot, għandna minnhom vera golden dawk huma vera skarsi. U ntuhom biex nagħmlu l-ħbiberija bejnietna, fimt? Nagħtuhom ġużu soħra, ġonis VIPs, nies VIPs li jkunu, fimt? Ikollhom huge hectares ikollhom fejn jitfaqhom. Jifieri mhux inbilgħu jgħidu x'maħqurin, mhu veru xejn huma maħqurin. Maħqur taf xejn jkun maħqur. Pereżempju jkollok annimal u talmu bil-fors tabbieħ xi affarijiet biex iġorri n-nies, torbtu bil-katina minn saqajh. Dawk annimal dik hija moħqrija.
So karozzini in Malta, how do you see them?
Il-karozzini huwa xi ħaġa tal-pajjiż, imma jekk nara żiemel li jkun wara nofsinhar ma naqbilx miegħu, fimt? Tara karozzin fis-satejt ta' wara nofsinhar. Li tara karozzin mill-5 l-hemm jew nkella jkun filgħodu mit-8 sal-11, alright, imma f'dik ix-xemx fis-sija ta' wara nofsinhar dik ma naqbilx magħha. Seraħ rasek l-istidin tal-karozzini ma jħaqruhomx l-annimali ta'. Fil-fatt għamlulhom it-tinet jiena nipproponi iktar minn dawn l-affarijiet ħalli ħafna nies jarfu l-għarfien illi għax għall-annimal m'hawnx min jitkellem, aħna rridu nitkellmu għalihom.
That's exactly right. So back to the tiger cub. So how does one buy a tiger cub?
Sorry, ma fhimtek.
How does someone buy a tiger cub? They call you up and they just ask for a tiger cub? Is there a process? What's the procedure?
Mela, bħalma spjegajtlek meta konna qed nagħmlu meta kont qiegħed għandna l-park. Aħna l-ewwel iċemplu ngħid l-isma' Anton. Ikellmuni bl-Ingliż tajjeb, ikellmunix bil-Malti. Għandna bżonn erba' ngħidu rejt ħanammara. Ħanammara hekk li tkun fimt il-proċess jiena t-tigru għalih, it-tigra għaliha. Ħafna nies importanti li ngħidha li ħafna nies ma jafux ġan, di vera taġobni, di vera interessanti għal min qed jismana li jaħsbu li l-jun huwa il-maskili tat-tigra. Ħafna le, mentri għandek l-jun u l-leonessa, it-tigru u t-tigra. Ħafna nies, ħafna. Differa interessanti.
So do you feel like you're educating people at Larkaton Aware?
ħafna nies qatt ma raw dawn l-annimali, allura speċi tal-limon fuqhom x'manuvri jagħmlu, x'dieta jieklu. Ħafna nies ma jafux, ħafna nies ismin kollu il-kex, ħafna nies li jaqlaħħaw jikollha bħalma ngħidu bil-Malti, so m'għandhomx ċans li jmorru jaraw dawn l-annimali ġo parks, ġo safaris.
Coming to the end of this interview, obviously you have quite a range of animals as it is, llamas, alpacas, tigers, etc., etc. I know you just got some new animals this week, so let us know about that. But what are your plans? Do you have plans to get any really special animals, for example, like a giraffe or anything?
Fil-fatt, ngħidlek il-verità, il-ġirafs qegħdin ġol pjan. Il-ġirafs qegħdin ġol pjan, għadna kif ħadna 20,000 square meter. Il-ġirafs qegħdin għal ġol pjan.
Talking about land, there was a bit of controversy a few weeks ago about, there was... So there was a story about that you had filed an application to expand some land. There was lots of questions about the legalities over it. Do you want to address them now?
Mela, bħalma ġejt inti rajt. Imdawrin kollha bil-barir, inti rajt bajnejk, ġifieri mhux qed nikdeb, fimt? Ġejt hemmhekk u rajt li hemmhekk area tal-quarries. Għandna parti minna l-land hija mirduma, mhijiex agriculture land, ġifieri maħniex nieħdu xejn. Hija quarry taħt mimlija bit-terrepien, ġifieri maħniex nieħdu ODZ area jew hekk. Xi art li qed nagħmluhom għall-annimali. Maħniex nibnu xi blokk uffiċin jew warehouses hemmhekk ma naqbilx magħhom għal ħares qatran. Ma da area tal-annimali. Per eżempju ġibna l-baqar. dil-ġimgħa. L-ajtal għandhom baqar ġifieri small cows, pygmy cows. Għax aħna għandna ħafna barra wild animals, għandna cows, lamas, ġibna Dexters, sheep, mountain goats, donkeys, horses, rabbits, turtles, ġifieri għandna ħafna annimali li jkun hemm naqa il-kontroversja fuqhom hija t-tigri, dawk li hemm naqa imma l-bqija l-park hemm ħafna annimali iktar.
Finally, to people watching this interview who might still be on the fence, who might say, listen, irregardless of what you're saying, irregardless of how much space they have, they're in a cage, they're locked up, it's never going to be good from the way they see it. What would you tell these people?
Għandhom kull dritt, għandhom kull opinjoni, da kulħadd huwa suġġett tal-opinjoni. Dan huwa kulħadd suġġett li jekk inti ma taqbilx magħhom, għal xejn ħan nipprova nġierek taqbel magħhom għax mhux ħer nixxielek. Ġifieri kulħadd għandu dritt u jiena naqbel mal-opinjoni ta' dawk in-nies li huma favuri li jarawhom fil-wild, imma mbagħad għandek oħrajn li jixtiequ jarawhom in enclosures. Firri nifhem u nirringrazzjakom tal-intervista, grazzi.
So Anton, thank you once again for coming in this morning. We really appreciate your time. We're actually going to cut to the feature. If you have not seen Malta's Tiger King, the full feature, we're about to play it now. So stay tuned for that. And from myself and everyone here, have a day full of lovin'.
Ġurnata tajba s-semija kollha. Proset. Dik tarħa minn hawn ġan. Jekk tarħa minn hawn, hija bħal tal-Lion King, eżatt.
There are a handful of zoos in Malta, and Larkatanoe in Sigiwi might be the most famous one, in no small part thanks to its eccentric owner, Anton Kutayar. The outspoken figures regularly in the news due to his strong views on migration, his questionable building methods, and even concerns over his sale of emergency ventilators to the state during the COVID-19 pandemic by direct order. Lovin Malta went to Sigiwi to meet this larger-than-life figure in his own domain and take a closer look at his menagerie of exotic animals. Here we are finally with Malta's Tiger King himself, Anton Kutayar. So, how long has this place been open and what was the idea of opening it?
L-idea tiegħu l-post huwa li jieħdu peċir in-nies, jiena nħu peċir ħafna annimali, u rrid inesebihom għan-nies, għaw ħafna nies ma jistgħux isifru biex jaraw tigra. Taħna niftħu s-sibtu l-ħadd, ħalli ma jkunx dak il-konfużjoni u l-annimali intuhom iċ-ċans li ma jkollhomx dak ir-rax ta' nies u hekk, fimt?
What animals do we have here?
We have birds, monkeys, sheep, horses, donkeys, llama, alpacas. Today I will show you something. Kontra ħadd itwielet.
Oh wow, so you had an alpaca born today?
Yeah, born today about 3 hours ago.
But Anton left out some of his biggest draws, the tigers, of which he has several species.
Jismej ħdej, jismej, jinżel. Di l-ewwel baby li kelli ta'.
That's your first baby?
Dit wildet 17th April 2017.
This is your first baby, but how many tigers do you have now?
Here, I think we have about 18. Sara rasek li tkun wide minn tixħat mis-sek ta' tigra, forget it.
If a kid ended up in these cages, what could happen?
Where you open?
But the worst case scenario, a kid ends up in there.
Where?
Inside.
You can't. Forget it.
So would you go inside?
Le, ma mux taġa, ndix għalfej.
Because obviously, like for example, when you saw the Tiger King, that guy in America was constantly going inside cages.
Yeah, mmur, imma ma fimt. Uma jellaw ħaġa li jilabbu għof jitfok mal-art mill-ewel biex jilabu.
But people would still say, listen, these are wild animals. These are aggressive creatures. Should they even be locked up, especially in an island like Malta?
Mela, jekk inti tmur ġo zoos barra, mhix ħassib għal dal-kobor laqqas, fimdi fija 1000 square meter u daw jinfdu ma' xulxin. Firri dik fija 2000 square meter. Jala, ta' min jgħid li ħafna nies ma jafux illi jekk jitwildu fil-wild kull ma jgħixu 11 years. In captivity jgħixu 20 sena.
And are they just as happy?
La jkunu twildu hawnhekk, la jkunu twildu fil-captivity, ma jkunx jafu bih il-wild. U daqs li kieku jiena ma naqbilx magħha jekk annimal alla qatt jinqabad minn ġol wild u titfgħu ġol captivity. Hemmhekk hija moħqrija kbira. This one is Pupa.
Where's she from?
She's from Germany. Oh, honey, no. She's very friendly.
What's her diet?
Mela, we feed him chicken, red meat, and some pig.
Would you say that these are healthy, happy creatures?
Kieku ma jkunux healthy jekk tarhom, iwaqqgħu il-pil, kieku jkunu stressjati jagħmlu ħafna movimenti tarhom jew ħabtu rashom mal-ħajt. Kieku mihomx happy, kieku ma jkollhomx frieħ. Kam. Kam here, kam. Ejja. Irid jammara.
The female is standing up
The female.
and the male is lying down. And who initiates, the male or the female?
Il-female tibda tinkieħ. Fil-fatt jekk tara qed tolli demba tara.
One of Larkatanue's main goals is to introduce exotic animals to Maltese families as attractively as they can. However, newly proposed animal rights laws could see things like breeding tigers banned in the future. So what is the structure we're coming up to now?
Hawnhekk nagħmlu ħanġibu il-lions. Dik tarriħa minn hawn ġan. Jekk tarriħa minn hawn hija bħal tal-Lion King, eżatt. Il-liġijiet iridu li l-annimali jsewwhom, id-double fencing, cameras, if something happened, we have insurance.
How did you react to this?
Jiena kull ma mbilx magħha l-liġi illi ma tistax tagħmar annimali. Aħna qabel ma nagħmluhom ikonna programm kif ħanamruhom.
Okay.
And that's what I tell you, the Maltese tiger, you see? They don't call him Maltese tiger because he born in Malta.
No.
Ara ġej. Ej, jisma'. Ejja.
Oh my God. Do you see this as kind of like conservation?
Kieku ma jkunx hawn postijiet bħal daw kieku daw l-annimali l-golden tabby dal-waqt jispiċċaw u Maltese tiger rari tara.
Recently, claims that Anton had applied for a major extension of his land led to him responding in some heated videos. But he says it's all above board, especially since the land he used is in a quarry and, according to him, he's not even building on it.
Inti timmaġina daw, per esempio, ma jkollhomx ix-shelter tħallihom barra minn. Tinqara kontroversja x'tagħmilhom dik il-naqqa ta' kamra fejn jitlu. Hawnhekk m'hawnx bini, bħal min qed tara inti, hawn m'hawnx bini li hawn enclosures u fejn jitlu l-annimali. Jiena dak ma narax bini, jiena bħal dan ma narax bini.
This summer, a peaceful Black Lives Matter protest in Valletta marking the deaths of America's George Floyd and Malta's Lasana Cisse was picketed by Anton and scores of others. During a moment of silence for Lasana, the picketers even cheered. But Anton says he personally knew Lasana Cisse.
Lasana ġieli tal-lajtu mill-gazin partikolari ta' partit u ġieli wassaltu għal-far.
You knew Lasana Cisse?
Hey, I know him. He kien amazing guy, fim?
Ah, yes?
Kien very friendly man. Fil-fatt in-nies ta' Birżebbuġa meta ħalla d-dinja, in-nies ta' Birżebbuġa vera kienu dispjaċuti u rrabjati u urtati.
I'm seeing you interact with your black workers. We spoke to one of them as well. He said, he described you as the only family he has in Malta. However, be it in the media, be it out online, be it on the internet, people think you're racist.
Minix razzist u veru xejn razzist. Jiena kontra l-invażjoni ġol-pajjiż. Jista' jkun bliedem abjad. Jekk ħan iżdiedu b'ħafna popolazzjoni, ħajkonna problema fid-drenaġġ, ħajkonna problema fit-traffiku, fimt?
So obviously Malta, whether we like it or not, is at the forefront of a migration crisis because of the location of the island in the middle of the Mediterranean. There are ships coming every week, every day. What should the government be doing on those ships? Leave them out at sea?
Le, jiena ma ngħidx iħalluhom fit-sea. Jiġbruhom u issa jerġgħu jibgħatuhom. Pereżempju,
Back home?
back home, il-Bangladesh, why they want to come to India, Pakistan?
And what about the African countries where there's war, where there's famine?
Where? In Ghana, do they have war? They don't have war in Ghana. Where? In Nigeria, where? Eid li fejjem il-gwerra.
Eritrea is in the best situation right now.
Alright, Eritrea, alright. Dak jekk imbagħad jiena bħal-Malit jekk għandu dritt li jgħaddi għall-ażil. Jgħaddi għall-ażil, imma m'għandux dritt jgħaddi għall-ażil. Fimt?
As beautiful as they are, one of the most controversial aspects of Anton Zoo is his breeding of tiger cubs, which are then sold to VIP buyers around the world. People visiting the zoo can also pet the cubs and play with them. something which animal activists have described as exploitation. We've got the famous cubs right in front of us. Here they are. How old are these cubs and do they have names?
Għandhom 5 weeks, issa għandhom 5 ġimgħat. Hawnhekk qed naraw il-Kate u Mila u hemmhekk hemm skannu.
So these are the cubs you'd have people petting, yes? These are the ones that people would pet.
Eżatt, Jonathan. Dawn il-cubs. Fimti nistan ma tagħmellek xejn hu. Di mhux ħatweġġek. Illi żomma. Żomma tibux minna.
I mean, the question isn't that, are they going to hurt people? The question is, are people going to hurt them?
Le, ma jistawx, le. Meta nkunu ir-ritratti dejjem nkunu 1:1.
And they don't mind being pet?
Le, xej. Anzi, iktar kemm ikunu pet, iktar jitraw friendly.
What's the age limit for being pet?
To being pet, we 60 days, 65 days max, taqsek.
And why do you stop there?
Għax imbagħad jibdew jikbru jistgħu weġġgħu in-nies, fimt?
Obviously.
Issa l-importanti li taqbad hekk. Taqbad hekk.
As in, it's a bit of a strange one to be holding one of these, such a controversial animal. Run me through the process. Do you breed them first and then you sell them, or you get an order and then you breed for the order?
First we have order for them, then we breed them.
So a lot of people don't even like what we're doing right now. They would criticize you for doing it. They'd say, listen, this is even a bit abusive.
Kieku ma jkunx għalina, kieku ma jgħixux ta' ħafna minnhom.
And how long have you been working with lions and tigers, exotic animals?
Since 2012, 2013 now.
Roughly, how much does a cub go for?
1,000 euro. 1,000 euro nibgħatu daw. Biex nġibu l-ispejjeż tagħhom u tkun issa bħala donation. Jekk hawn xi ħadd jixtieq jkun jaf kemm nagħmlu flus, jiġi jieħu xahar hawnhekk, jagħmel xahar hawnhekk, fil-bum meta jkun hawn ħafna xogħol, u tarek jirnexxilek xi tvinċi l-ispejjeż. Dan nagħmluh bħala hobby aħna.
Roughly, how many lions and tigers have you had in total since the beginning of this place? How many have passed through?
Domlok ta' ġifieri ngħidlek kemm hawnhekk twildu il-fuq minn 20 tigra. U kull ma żammejna xi 6.
So the 14 others sent abroad to buyers, to zoos, private keepers?
Very VIP persons.
So have you ever sold to any very VIP people, like world leaders or anything like this?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, white ones and golden tabby.
Okay.
Yes, they come for them for the specific animal.
Wow.
They ma jiġux huma jibatu aġent tagħhom, fimt?
Can you tell us who the world leader is?
Ma nistax.
VIP buyers or not, and in the face of serious criticism, Anton intends on remaining put in CGOE. So listen, Anton, obviously, as we discussed before, there's proposals for changes when it comes to handling animals, when it comes to zoos. There's critics of what you do here every day. You plan on expanding. Is there a future for these kind of zoos in Malta?
Jena, definitivament ħanibqa' bih, fimt? Ġifieri jiena għandi programm f'ħajti u nixtieq li jiena dan nagħmlu bħala hobby, mhux bħala business, fimt? Jiena l-business tiegħi huwa ħafna differenti minn dan ix-xogħol, so jiġifieri ma nħallatx ħaġa oħra. Jiena dan nagħmlu bħala hobby, mhux ħanagħmlu bħala business, fimt? Jekk tagħmlu bħala business ngħidlek għal Malta mhux worth it. Ma jirnexxielek xejn.
So you foresee this going for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years? Yeah?
Yes, mela.
In 10 years, Laka Tonaway is going to be here.
For sure. Issa ifimni. Nistgħu mutu għada, ħadd ma jaf. Ma nixtieq jiena bil-programm li għamilt tal-familja tiegħi l-arka ta' hawnhekk ħatibqa'. Għamilt programm f'ħajti li kif taraħħom hekk ishom tfal.
You see these animals as your children?
Kieku ma nżommhom, Jonathan, no.
And finally, to all the people who criticize you, who say, listen, this is animal abuse, or he's a racist, or he's stealing land, or whatever, what do you tell them?
Kulħadd jista' jikkritika, kulħadd għandu kull drittux. Per eżempju, stealing land, forget it, jiena land xtrajta. Razzist minix, bħalma u rejtek u taf, fimt? Jekk hawn xi jaħseb li jiena nobbot l-annimali jew xi ħaġa, forget it, għax jiena dawn ħobbu miżhom it-tfal tiegħi.
Whether this is animal exploitation or not, and no matter how genuine people like the Tiger King are in their passion for exotic creatures, new legal changes and a more modern perspective on zoos means they are under more scrutiny than ever. Exotic and wild animals belong in the wild.
However, with people like Anton Gutayar keen on getting things done in his way, his exotic collection will remain in CGUE, at least for now.